Welcome back to Bite Size Sports. I am Kev, and you are here with me for an episode of Late Night Bites. Welcome. Lean back, relax a little bit. If you have a drink, crack it open. Oh, I've just got some Crystal Light here, so luckily I won't be able to embarrass myself. Unlike our first subject of the evening, an unfortunate series of events for the winning kicker. Let's just get right into it. I'm just going to show you this. Shout out to Highlight Heaven for providing us with this. But, Brett Maher not having a good day at all. Not only is it 4 missed extra points, he had missed one in the regular season finale as well. Just, there's no other explanation, folks, that I have for this other than what I stated right here, that our friend Maher unfortunately has the yips. You guys remember Chuck Knobloch? Rick Ankiel, maybe? Steve Sachs, as it was pointed out on Twitter? Mackie Sasser? This has happened before, where guys just all of a sudden can't remember how to do the most basic thing that has come naturally to them for years, and all of a sudden can't get it done. Yikes. Now, it meant nothing to this game, to be honest. The Buccaneers had no chance to take down the Cowboys in this one. They made it somewhat interesting late, if you want to call it that, but this game was well in hand from the onset, really. The Cowboys impressed me a little bit. Did they impress you? Let me know in a comment. Now, I will say we are live on 3 platforms right now, so forgive me if I'm slow to a comment, if I miss it. We are testing this thing out as we go, but I do want to hear from you now that the first round, the wild card round, is all wrapped up. Who do you like? Who's got you confident? We're going to hop in real quick and just check on the squad. Let's check on the team, see where everyone at Bite Size Sports is right now, and then we'll dive in a little bit deeper into the Bucs Cowboys game, because there's not a lot to analyze, if I'm being honest with you. So let's check first with intern Dino, because I hate to say it, folks, but both of the Bite Size interns are going to be eliminated. Lenny isn't looking any better, because Lenny had Seattle getting to the, I believe, NFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl. So both of our interns, tragic defeat here. Dino with the Chargers and the Buccaneers now out. That one's going to be tough to come back from. We'll see which of our interns finishes last, but let's move next to Nate, dog. Here we go. He has the Niners as his champion. He's still looking good right now. A couple of us lost that Vikings-Giants game, but that's okay. Now, you look over to the AFC, though. He's not doing so hot. Chargers getting to the AFC Championship. That one's going to sting. So, Nate, who was not happy about me sharing my bracket on Twitter earlier, so thank you for that, Nate. Here's Sean. Looking okay, looking pretty good. He got the Giants right. He's got the Buccaneers, though, moving on, so that one hurts. Other than that, though, he's got just about everything right. So Sean B in the hunt to win it here, to take down the bite-size crown. Let's see what I'm cooking with. Of course, I missed the Vikings. Other than that, we're sitting pretty, boys. I got to tell you, after that Cowboys game I just saw, I'm feeling pretty good about this. You know, I do not expect them to win it all. And I'm going to be honest with you, if the 49ers end up in the big game, 49ers-Bengals, I'm not going to be surprised by that at all. But damn, that Monday night game makes me feel a lot better about the decision to put the Cowboys through this. But man, that game was pretty ugly, huh? That Cowboys Buccaneers game, was it the last Tom Brady Buccaneers game? I had that question for all of you. We're about to check that. We've got the Twitter poll live, so if you want to have some influence on that, hop in there right now. But first of all, I want to ask you guys, what is that? What does that look like? Is that a tackle? What football are we playing here, Tom? Is this dirty? I don't know. I don't know if it doesn't feel clean. I'll tell you that. It doesn't feel clean, does it? But I don't know if it's as far. I mean, it's a tackle, I guess. It's a slide tackle. I mean, whatever, man. It is what it is. Not Tom's best night, not his best look. But let me ask you folks, what do you think? Is it going to be Tom Brady's last game as a Buccaneer? We have this poll so far. We're still early in it, folks. We're still early, but 9 votes in, 100% say yes. Of course, I also believe that this is going to be Tom Brady's final game as a Buccaneer. But we have a second poll. We're going to follow up here because I want to hear from you in the comments. Let me know if you have them. We put some options here. Where will Tom Brady play next year? I think I just need to scroll up and get to it. Here we go. Again, we're still pretty early in this one. You've got 2 days, but we want to hear from you. We got Bucs, 49ers, Raiders, who I am kind of surprised to see in the lead here. I almost put Miami as the 4th option, which I mentioned on the tweet, and also in our last episode of the Bite Size Sports podcast. You can check into that. I won't bore you with rehashing the whole story, but let's not forget that there were rumors that the Miami Dolphins were working to get Sean Payton and Tom Brady in at the same time. So with Tua in all the concussions, is it unfathomable that they could try that again? I don't know, but let me know. We've got some at least one vote for other where they didn't help me out with a comment, so I'm going to count that one as a vote for the Dolphins. Too bad. If you don't want me to count it as a Dolphins vote, let me know. Leave a response when you're voting under there. So, but tell me in the comments, where is Tom going? I feel very confident he won't be going back to Tampa. Doesn't seem like that situation is cut out for them to win much of anything. I've heard the Patriots, but I don't believe it seriously. I don't. Pardon me. Let me know if you do. I don't think that Tom going back to New England is realistic. It doesn't make sense on either side to me. I mean, maybe it makes sense on Brady's side. If you think that the Patriots have that kind of roster again going into next year, but that division's as tough as it's been. It might be the toughest. If Tom Brady were to go back to New England, that division would be the toughest potentially that it had been in at least a decade over there. And I feel like I'm being generous here. Yes, we have the Rex Ryan, Mark Sanchez. We have the Sanchez years, the butt fumble years, where the Jets were in AFC Championship games. I'm not going to sit here and say that they weren't good. They clearly, it was a difficult division to some extent at that point, but not in a long time have all 4 teams been this good. So what would Tom really be coming back for? I think he's going to pick a situation that fits a little better for him. Now, I mentioned I was surprised by the Raiders. I'm not surprised by the 49ers. We've heard it multiple times. We'll hear it every year until he retires, as long as until they figure it out. Now, I did say in my tweet that I thought if it were me making the decision, if I'm the 49ers, I'd just run it back with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. I don't know. I want to see one more game before I'm all in, put chips in on just run it back with Purdy, let Lance get healthy and see what we got. But I've seen split feedback on this. I have seen people say, I want to see Brady for 1 year. And the timing of it could work. I mentioned this last night or earlier today with Trey Lance. I don't know what his timetable is for his return, but you could potentially say, okay, we'll slap Brady in for a year, but I think you got to keep 3 quarterbacks if you do that, in which case you got to keep Purdy, because I think Purdy can absolutely run the backup for Brady. He can run a Brady-designed offense, or an offense that's designed for Brady. But Brady and Trey Lance, I think, are kind of oil and water in that sense, where neither their strengths don't play well to a cohesive playbook. So Brock Purdy may need to be there to bridge that gap as well. But I might be stubborn, I might be stupid, but at this point, I'd rather go with what I've got and build on it, because you've got this Purdy kid who's won you a playoff game already. So, I mean, you went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. So maybe that's where you're getting this idea, like we'd win one if we just had Tom, you know. But it could be to your own detriment, because are you going to run into a Jimmy Garoppolo situation, which that didn't hurt the Patriots because Jimmy G didn't end up being all that. But are you going to get in a situation where by grabbing a rental of Tom Brady, you cost yourself the quarterback of the future somehow? I just wouldn't do it. The team got this far with the quarterback play that it's had. I wouldn't be going after Brady. But I do see that at least one person has voted that the Bucs, that he would return to the Bucs. So we'll see. I doubt it. I tell you one thing. This is the other question that's been asked about this, and I guess I've kind of buried the lead as far as what my answer is, but the option of Tom Brady retiring, I think, is once again off the table. I don't see him letting it end that way. If he didn't retire this offseason, I don't think there's any way that Tom Brady will retire now. Like, let that be the last memory of him. I doubt it very much, folks. But what do you think? I want to hear from you. Is this the end of it for Brady? I'm going to check the Twitter notifications here, so which is a good time for me to segue, just kind of talk a little bit about Late Night Bites, which at one point was previously BS After Dark, but you know, there's a lot of shows that call their stuff After Dark, but it is that vibe. All right, so this is Bite Size Sports After Dark, a little more relaxed, a little less formal. So nope, nothing important on the alerts, just more about the Knobloch with the yips. So poor guy. Mar, let's go back to it. Let's talk briefly again about 49ers, Cowboys. What do you do if you're Dallas? Are you trying out kickers right now? Because I think that's what I'm doing. I think I'm playing this two ways. We're talking to Mar. We're trying to figure out where his head's at, trying to figure out what just happened. But I'm worried about the yips here. And as a Colts fan, I saw it with our own boy, Rodrigo Blankenship, that was solid a year before and then couldn't do anything. You move on. Chase McLaughlin comes in, and he's been money. So it's a terrible time to have to do it, but I think you've got no choice but to bring in some kickers for some tryouts this week. That's the one bad thing for the Cowboys out of this. I don't know if Curse came back, a knee injury, poor safety, man. That dude, his knee, I don't know if he's going to have surgery in the offseason, but he's missed a couple of games where his knee got out of place during warm-ups, so it's just scary, you know. You're just hoping that nothing major happens, but it seems like he really needs to get that looked at. But other than that, the big question for the Cowboys is going to be, can their kicker make an extra point? And that's not where you want to be at this time of year. So let me know what you would do if you were in charge, if you were running Jerry World. Are we getting a new place kicker up in here? Certainly got to look in their options, I would think. So moving on, what do we got next? Let's look at the rest of the wild card weekend. So bear with me here for a moment while I pull up the playoff bracket, because we got to look at how everything shakes up now and look into what we've got for this upcoming weekend and see, got to make some new predictions based on the matchups that are actually there. Of course, I've already shown you what we've picked so far. If you missed that, check it out. Just rewind you a little bit. So show me what we've got. Okay, Saturday at 4:30, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, those of you who have been following along know that I write for Stadium Rant. I cover the entire AFC South. I'm a contributing writer there, co-host of the Indy Intercept podcast. I am a Colts fan. I'm sure you figured that out by now. But I have embraced the opportunity to cover the entire division. And as part of that, about a little over a month ago, wrote an article predicting that the Jaguars would do this, that they would run the table. I had no idea Tannehill would get hurt. It honestly feels kind of cheap getting it right, having that be the way that it happened. But Nonetheless, here Jacksonville is. They've won their first round match, a very close game. Trevor Lawrence, I won't go through the whole spiel again from the last episode, but check it out. 4 interceptions to start the game, and it comes back. He's the first quarterback in playoff history to throw 4 picks in the first half, to come back and win. He's one of 5 quarterbacks now to throw at least 4 interceptions and win. Unfortunately for the Chargers, they're on that list twice now. George Blanda, who threw 5 interceptions in a win against the San Diego Superchargers. That's the record, so not on the right side of history for those guys. But Trevor Lawrence now has not only his first playoff victory, but sort of his first key, big playoff moment as well. So I don't expect the Jaguars to get to the Super Bowl. Let me make that perfectly clear. But I'm having a hard time picking this game because I could see them beat the Chiefs. I really could. The way that they came back to win this game in the wild card round, that's what's got me a little more confident in them than I was even. I predicted for them to win the Chargers game as well. I mean, you gotta roll with it here. I'm tempted to do it again one more week. Might just predict them to win until they lose, for the sake of the brand. But realistically here, it's possible. I mean, this is a Chiefs team. I mean, it's playoff time now, so apples to oranges. But this is a Chiefs team that lost to the Colts. Like, they're not unbeatable. They're a great team. They're the 1 seed for a reason, though. Okay, so I think the Chiefs would have been better suited to go up against the Chargers, a team that they know incredibly well. And here you have this upstart Jacksonville team that went from worst to first, not only in their division, but they were the worst team in the league last year. And now here they are. And they're just the kind of team you don't want to leave hanging around. So, of course, Jerick McKinnon would be who I would keep an eye on the props. So we're going to have to dive in and do our research throughout the week. So expect that later in the week in the programming. We will give you some prop bets to look at. I don't know if you guys are still doing daily fantasy stuff. I must admit, since sports betting has become live in Ohio, I have not done nearly as much daily fantasy stuff. I also was in 6 fantasy leagues this season. And I do have a dynasty team, so yeah, I kind of just taking a break from all of that, but I will look to dive back in. So we will look at it, and in a sense, of these prop bets I'm looking at, it's kind of the same. We're looking at what players are going to do. Just for those of you who missed it, to let you know where we hit last week, we focused our betting on the Jaguars-Chargers game because I was tasked to preview that matchup. Wrote that article. It's up on bitesizesports. It's up on our Medium account right now. We are working on a new newsletter. For those of you who don't know, there's only one more day in Review's lifespan, so we need a new newsletter resource. So in the meantime, find our articles there on Medium. But we have the Jaguars and Chargers pretty well vetted. So we won on a same game parlay. Eckler anytime touchdown score, Eckler under 50 yards rushing, ETN over 79.5 yards rushing, and Evan Ingram over 39.5 yards receiving. We also told you out there to keep your eye out on Gerald Everett props because, well, Jaguars can't cover a tight end, and they proved it because not only did Everett go off for over 100 yards. I know Ingram had over 100. I don't remember what Everett finished with, but the 3 tight ends that the Chargers have combined for 162 yards at one point. I don't have the stats up in front of me, but I was live tweeting about it. So again, be sure to follow us on Twitter, Bite Size Sports, for sure to be updated on all of the show and everything. But if you're looking for live tweets and maybe even to join me on a Twitter space, I would follow me on Twitter at @KevNevick_, because that's kind of the home base. We do a lot of stuff outside of just the sports programming too. So if you're interested in finding out about any of the other stuff that I do, that's the best way to do it. So back to this game, Jaguars at Chiefs. None of this is official, by the way. We're gonna wait till the spreads come out. We'll do an official pick, but first take picks right now. We're going to stick with the Chiefs. Go with my head over my heart here, and we're going to go with the Chiefs. So that's Saturday at 4:30. Now let's go to Saturday at 8:15. The New York Football Giants are at Philadelphia for a divisional rivalry in the divisional round. So Giants at Eagles. Do I feel any better about the Giants now that they won that game against Minnesota? Yes, but do I feel well enough? Do I feel good enough about them to think that they will beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia? Not quite. I've said it before. I'll say it again right now. I don't think Philadelphia is head and shoulders above anyone in the NFC. I think that there are a couple of teams right there. San Francisco's right there with them, even with their third string quarterback, which isn't a knock on anyone involved. Brock Purdy has played well. We'll get to him in a second. But the Eagles, they've won their close games. So we got to give them credit for that. But they struggled against the Texans. They struggled against the Colts. I don't doubt the Giants' ability to stay in this game and hang around. But at the end of the day, I'm going Eagles. I think the Eagles will take this down. The Giants will make it interesting. It's a division rivalry game. I don't see it getting out of hand, except maybe potentially late. But I got to go Eagles. So there we go. Chiefs and Eagles for the Saturday game. So Sunday we have, where do we start? I think we start with Buffalo and Cincinnati. Yeah, Buffalo and Cincinnati at 3 p.m. That is a tough one. Of course, we all know what happened in Week 17, so we're not going to rehash it. But Bengals at Buffalo. Oh, this one's so tough. So let's see. Let's roll to the tape here. Let's see what we had. I already know I had the Bengals for this, but let's just pull it up so you all can see. I have the Bengals beating the Bills here, so I can't go against it now, but I don't feel as confident as I did when I made this pick. Now let's check in with the other two. Nate has the Bills winning this one. Sean has the Bengals winning this one. So, yeah, there you go. I'm going to stick with the Bengals, but I don't feel as good about it. I don't know. In my opinion, whoever wins the Bengals-Bills game is going to the Super Bowl to represent the AFC. That's where I sit with it. It's a tough game for me to pick. I'm going to stick with the Bengals for now. I agree with Cincinnati's take that they are the team to beat in the AFC because they're the defending AFC champion and they're in the playoffs now. So there we go. Sunday at 3. Let's go with the Bengals. I look forward to seeing what that spread is, though, to call it finally. And then Cowboys at San Francisco Sunday at 6:30. Be still, my nostalgic 90s heart. This is just going to flood me with so many memories. I hope, let me see if I can pull it up. I hope we get those Cowboys, you know, those white jerseys with like the stars on the side, like they had the blue shoulder stripes, not their classic white jerseys that you always see. But anyway, I'll find it. We'll pull it up. But they have these old school 90s throwbacks where they're the blue shoulder blades, and they still rocking the. That's what I want to see. And maybe go with the Niners rocking the white pants throwbacks. Who's gonna win this game, Kev? I don't. I'm going Cowboys. This isn't how I picked it. You know, I had these guys playing in the championship, so this one's tough for me. But I'm gonna pick the Cowboys, and here's why. We talked about Brock Purdy. I said I would talk about him again, so here we are. Let's do it. He's played well, absolutely, but he had some dudes wide open in that wild card matchup, and I'm not certain that that's going to happen again. I like this Cowboys defense. Those of you who played fantasy this year, if you had the Cowboys defense, you were very happy. My champion league this year, we had the Cowboys defense rolling there. They take some chances, so you know there's gonna be potentially that they're gonna get burned, but they also might score some points on you. So I'm going to take the Cowboys, plus the way they look tonight. I can't overinflate it because the Buccaneers have just been that bad. They're just that bad. We kept trying to prop the Buccaneers up every time they manage to squeak out a 3-point win against a bad team, but the reality is that the Buccaneers were just that bad. And so while I'm happy to see the Cowboys take care of business because I have them going to the Super Bowl, I'm not super thrilled yet. Like I'm not ready to say they're gonna steamroll the Niners, but I think it's gonna be a close game. Give me the Cowboys right now. I trust Dak more than Brock Purdy. So there we go. That's what I have for the Sunday night game. So to recap everything, we've got Saturday, we got the Chiefs over the Jags as it stands right now, and then the Eagles over the Giants at the 8 o'clock game. Sunday, we have the Bengals winning on the road, and then the Cowboys. Oh, we got both road teams taking it down on Sunday. So upset Sunday, there you have it. But now, let's go to a palate cleanser, shall we? I want to show you a little highlight from the world of slap fighting because it's one of my favorite things, one of my favorite sports. Let's get this pulled up here. Bear with me. Actually, no, I was going to go to grass racing, but we will go to the slap fighting right now. Here we go. Oof. My goodness. How much money would it cost? Like, what would the... Oh, wow. Oh. Man, these dudes get straight. Look at that dude's face. He is done. How much would it cost for you guys to do this? That guy looked like that was an embarrassingly weak slap. He looked like he laughed that one off. You couldn't pay me enough money to do this. These guys are going to get a concussion from getting slapped. That's crazy. Oh, he had a fist there. I think he was about to... you don't let him clench his fist like that, boss. Oh, he knew it. Oh, yeah. He was ready. Out here looking like Chris Rock. So we're fresh on this clip, by the way. I saw that there was a slap fight clip, and I watched like the first 15 seconds, just that highlight intro, and all the rest of this is new to me. Oh, yeah, that woke him up. Okay. Slapfight.live. Okay, slap fight. That was the championship. Okay, now this dude, White Simba, I gotta say, this dude gets his bell rung legit. We saw that in the opening. He looks. I would not want to be in a cafeteria with that dude. What's? I don't like that form. I don't know. Listen, I'm not a slap guy, but I play a lot of disc golf, and I feel like he messed up his whole momentum. Like he was doing, like his practice form didn't match what he ended up doing. It's I used to do that on the regular golf course all the time. You take 4 or 5 practice swings, and then when you go up, and then the swing you just took, it's nothing like your practice swing. It's like, what were you doing all that for? You got to maintain the form. Oh, look at him. Oh my God, he's talking to Jesus. This guy's like, did I break it? He's trying so hard not to celebrate. He'll take me back to this guy. Oh, okay. What? Did his mouth guard fly out? What was that? I like these dudes, by the way. Oh, it's an ear. Oh, so they don't bust their freaking eardrums out? My God, these guys. They're ridiculous, man. I wanna rock with you. How long is this? I have no idea. I don't know when it ends. We're gonna watch the whole thing. Oh, he's got the X's up. That's bad. That's he's been knocked out. Our buddy here takes a knee. Respect. I was touching on that earlier and we got a little excited, but those two were gentlemen. They pounded the rock in between rounds. Just phenomenal. I am going to let it play one more time to see just the highlight clip here. Oh, just get the... Oh. Even the ref. Yes, this dude's... Draco Malfoy's was funnier. White Simba, sorry. Okay, this meme is a meme. I confirmed this myself, all right? I went and checked. Jerry Jones still has not actually tweeted anything in like 13 years. So, okay, this is not a real tweet. But apparently, if you can kick and you're currently in the stadium right now, we have a jersey for you. I love it. No updates on the Brady vote yet. So, still pretty one-sided out the gate. But let's see. Now, I'm trying to get Nate, maybe Sean, I haven't talked to Sean about this yet, but I'm trying to get Nate to join me in this. I don't know what this sport's called, but it looks fun as hell, doesn't it? Flying around them corners like that. And it's got like a bumper car. It feels like it's got like a go-kart aspect. Now that might sound, I don't mean to sound that. I don't mean that to be an insult. Goddamn, easy for me to say. Like these guys, I'd be scared shitless in one of these boats. But it feels to an extent like with the bumpers on everything, and like it might be safer than regular racing. I don't know how fast these things go, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm starting to question my previous statement, because they're up on their haunches like they're riding a motorcycle, man. That is intense. I'm gonna have to chat with Mama Bear about this. Those of you who don't know, my mother's an accomplished motorcycle racer, Grand Prix style. So former teacher as well. So I'm gonna have to ask her about this and see if I could cut it out there on the water. And that's my favorite part. It reminds me of the old off-road racing. Remember that arcade? It had 3 wheels. You'd have off-road or whatever dirt. You'd have 3, like a buggy or a pickup truck. You'd have 3 different vehicles you could choose from, but it would, you'd have water you could drive over. It's like it'd be like doing this but in real life, just fantastic. I can't even imagine being able to do that. So there you go. Look out for me on the dirt grass course some point soon. We've gone through slap fighting. We've gone through the grass racing. Let's see. We went through where Brady will go next. We went through the Yips. NBA Monday update is where we're at, folks. We will be sending it home here soon. Let me check out what happened in the NBA score-wise tonight. We will pull that up here. Now, before I do that, I've learned my lesson. Okay, this site is muted. Mute you. Okay. Now, for those of you who watched the most recent episode of Bite Size Sports, you will know that the first 5 minutes or so we had an issue because I didn't realize that little video there you see in the corner on ESPN, the audio is playing. I couldn't hear the audio, but apparently it was coming through on the stream. So my sincere apologies if it's doing that right now. I believe I've handled it, okay? So you should actually be able to hear me talk this time while we go through the scores. But this will be it. So I will say thank you to those of you who have watched. I've been seeing you come in. I don't have any comments on my end. So my apologies if you've reached out, if you've asked us questions. I apologize, I haven't seen them, but I will do with this show what I've done with the Bounce and other shows before, where we'll get a thread started earlier in the day, maybe earlier in the week, and you can get me some questions ahead of time if you have them. But of course, I really look forward to interacting with all of you in the chat, so I hope we get that working, and I will circle back to Twitter and Facebook and double check. So if you did leave me comments, I will answer them either directly via comment or in the next video, because that would be cool. I want you to be a part of the show. It's very important to me that you all feel involved. Otherwise, what am I live streaming for? So we won't be around long enough tonight to put a cap on this Lakers-Rockets game, but let me just say that the Lakers need this one. Thank you, Captain Obvious. But if there's another controversial ending for the Lakers and they don't win it, the NBA is going to be under the utmost scrutiny. So I would feel very confident. Honestly, when I'm done talking to you guys, I might go take a easy money, bad odds bet just to make 15 cents off the Lakers winning. But the Celtics continue their winning ways. 130 to 118 over the Hornets, who've been beating really good teams lately. So they beat the Bucs, which you can hear all about in the most recent episode of The Bounce over at Stadium Rant. Our buddy James, my co-host, was there for that. So be sure to check that out. Give it a listen. You can get his take on it. But the moral of the story is that the Hornets have been playing a lot better since LaMelo Ball has come back. But I mean, they are who we thought they were. They're still in Wemby territory. They're in Wemby land, as the Friday efficiency charts like to call it. So the Pacers, who should have been in Wemby land this year, but blew out everyone's expectations, including my own. They are unfortunately, though, dealing with the reality of life without your all-star point guard, and he may not end up making the all-star team, but he's averaging a double-double. He was right there, and I would argue if he hadn't gotten hurt that there was a very good chance he was going to be an all-star. So that being said, TJ McConnell had a perfect, I think, first half. He was actually, you know what? I think I have. Let me pull. I got, you know a guy is going off when people start to message you about it. So let me just check. I have a DM about this because I love my life, okay? I love this job. I can't wait to get to do this full time. But and I shouts out, okay? Shouts out to Snugs because I don't know if he wants me using his given name. So shout out to Snugs, my source on this one, who reached out to let me know. McConnell is playing unbelievable. This was today at 4. 25 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 0 turnovers, 9 of 9 from the field, 4 of 4 from 3, 3 of 3 from the foul line. Just an unreal stat line, still just third quarter. So shout out to you, Snugs. Thank you for that. Made my day, but of course it was not enough, right? 132 to 119. The Bucs take it down. Now I am interested to look at this box score because I want to see who did the bulk of the damage for both teams. So we have Naismith in there. He's had a good year. Didn't really perform today. Yikes. Okay, Nemhard, he's been a hero of times. Yeah, so that two guys that they're really counting on with Halliburton out, not really able to get it done. Duarte, 6 points. It's really been frustrating to watch Duarte not gel as well with this team. And I don't know, unfortunately, that he currently fits the way things are constituted. But I tell you, I'm rooting for this guy, and he is a good player, and he's going to be a quality contributor. I don't know necessarily that he's going to be a perennial all-star or even an all-star once for that matter, but Chris Duarte is going to be one of those guys. I could see him being a guy who plays for a decade as a role player. He's really solid. We saw flashes of it last year. We saw more than flashes of it last year, honestly. But it's just, yeah, it doesn't have it all together in the moment. I want to look at Ijax and see what's going on there. He played 1 minute, so hopefully there was no injury. Don't know the details there. But looking at Milwaukee, because that's who I really want to see. There we go. Bobby Portis with 21. Drew Holiday. Wow. So, yeah, this is... Do you notice the name that's missing there? See, this one's a frustrating one for the Pacers, right? They should, no Giannis, no problem for Milwaukee. So get 35 out of Drew Holiday, and that'll happen to you. So 21 out of Portis, Brook Lopez with 19, and that was one the Pacers really needed. But I gotta be honest with you, they're in trouble. And they've won too many games for their own good now. So they are not in the aforementioned Wemby land. At least they have 3 draft picks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know with the Miles Turner situation, again, being in limbo, we've seen Buddy Hield be rumored as a trade piece. It'll be interesting to see what this Pacers team looks like after the All-Star break and if they're still going to be the team that not only is in the running for the playoffs, but actively making that push. I can't see them letting their foot off the gas now, although selfishly as a fan, I almost wish that they would, because I might have been singing a different tune if Halliburton had stayed healthy, but that's not the case, and I don't see this. Let's just do it. We've got the time. I'm in no rush, so let's look at the upcoming schedule. It's not good. Well, first of all, that's not good. 4 straight losses. Not good. I want to see their upcoming games. Let me see the full schedule, because there's a point to all of this, so bear with me. There we go. Oklahoma City. Can't even guarantee that one right now. Thunder are playing their way out of Wembyland too. Which, if you haven't heard it on this show yet, I'm telling you, Thunder and the Pistons have such bright futures. I am, look at this. I'm not a fan of either team, and I'm ready. I'm salivating at what the Thunder could look like next year. But yeah, I think the Thunder could beat Indiana. Denver will beat Indiana. Phoenix is as bad as they're playing. I still think shorthanded. Maybe that's when Indiana could win, but realistically, I think Phoenix, Chicago. Honestly, I think Indiana might win that one, but Chicago's the better team right now. But they can't seem to figure it out. Like, they can't seem to string it together, keep it together for, let's say, a week, 2 weeks. They lose games I don't expect them to lose, and every time I'm ready to say, hey, you guys should sell, then they beat teams that are better than them. So I don't know, but Chicago should win that game, but will they just play to the level of their opponent as they've done before? I don't know. And then you've got Orlando. Okay, I can call that one a Pacers win. Okay, good. 1 out of the next 5. Then Milwaukee, Memphis, LA again, Sacramento, Cleveland. Where it's brutal. They are hitting a stretch where I just don't know what they're going to be able to do. The poor Pacers. It's just, it's not what you want to see. So we're going to go back and check out the rest of the Monday night slate before we get you out of here, as we get ready for the rest of the week in sports. All right, we talked about the Celtics, talked about the Pacers and the Bucs, so let's bring it back to the Cavaliers and Pelicans, 2 of my favorite teams to talk about on the bounce. Pelicans, as long as they can hold on, keep their head above water when they get their 2 best players back, keep an eye on them. Actually, I'm going to check our Twitter poll right now, because I actually had 2 polls that had to do with these teams. So let me see here. We asked which of the Pelicans and the Kings, which of those 2 teams had the best chance of making a Western Conference Finals. Now, these polls will be open for a few more days, so let me check those out. Now, I think those may be on the bounce. So yeah, so check us out. We've got, check me out on Twitter. I've got some polls going for you right now. The Pelicans are losing to the Kings the last time I checked that poll. So yeah, right now we've got the Kings looking like the favorite to make the Western Conference Finals out of those. It's actually a split now. It's now tied 50-50. So, and then the other one we put, which of these teams has the best shot at dethroning Boston in the East? So those 4 teams were the Nets, Bucks, Sixers, and Cavs. Right now, the Nets and Bucks are in the lead. Sixers and Cavs not really being given the time of day, but I think that we could be seeing some moves going on here. But let's look at the box score very quickly. We'll hop in and out of this one because I'm just keeping a look at my boys here in New Orleans. We're not seeing any of those names that we need to see. So they're hanging tough. McCullough McKinn, he's been keeping them alive, but 8 of 20 just didn't have quite enough of it tonight to make this happen. So Cleveland, 28-17. Look at that home record. Wow. Pretty good. All right. Who else played this evening? The Raptors beat the Knicks by 2. Wow, I'm glad I kept my mouth shut. I'm in a couple of gambling groups where we just talk about the picks that we make and stuff like that, share strategies, whatever. And somebody was asking about this game in particular, this Raptors-Knicks game, and I stayed out of it. The spread, I think, was 1.5. Oof. I remember thinking that the Knicks would win. I think the Raptors were given 1.5, so they still would not have covered. So I would have been right as far as the bet is concerned. But yeah, Toronto. Is this more about Toronto or is it more about New York? Because Toronto had been struggling, but they've got most of their guys back. Like look, you haven't seen all 5 of those guys playing together a lot this season. So it could be that Toronto is going to start making that push back into playoff relevancy. So guys that we thought were going to be sellers, there's been rumors. I think you have seen the clips where people are alleging Oganobi is talking to Pacers players saying trade for me, which I find to be just hilarious, seeing as the last time someone was alleged to do that, it was Victor Oladipo trying to get out of Indiana, but moving on. So Toronto might be the team that fills that spot, that steps in and takes Indiana's place in the standings, honestly, if Indiana is not able to somehow steal a couple of wins while they are without their best player. But let me see what happened to New York here. Some rough shooting nights, not terrible. But, 11 of 29 from Brunson is not good. 26 points, 32 from Barrett, 21 from Randall, 42 minutes. Yeah, this is my thing. This is my Tom Thibodeau gripe again. You got all these guys who didn't play. You need to tell me that. I know why Derrick Rose isn't playing at this point. At least I've seen the rumors that. Which it's interesting, and I don't. It's so tough with Twitter rumors, but I've seen rumors that the Knicks would be willing to accommodate him in a trade to go where he wants to go, but they're 26-20, so clearly just not a believer in that squad, huh? Getting traded away from one playoff team to another, but I don't know what to do with the Knicks other than to move on from Tom Thibodeau. You got Cam Reddish, Jericho Sims, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier. None of these guys could help you. You're gonna play RJ Barrett 49 minutes. I know there was overtime, but it just doesn't make sense. These tight rotations make no sense to me. I think at this point, Tom Thibodeau is not long for the NBA world. I would just put it that way. So the Raptors moving on up. The Knicks stay frustrating and confusing as always. What's new, New York? How you been? Okay, the Warriors looking like they're coming back a little bit. Curry clutches up late in a 41-point performance. This man's playing with one arm, dropping 41 points. No big deal. Warriors win a road game, more importantly. Look at that. Do you see that hideous away record that they have? Yeah, no big deal. They finally win one. The Hawks, 22-22, beating the Heat. If the Hawks start to work things out, they start to figure things out. Look out, Indiana. That's another team that could be coming for your spot. And let's look at that box score. I want to see who did the damage. We know Trae Young had a hand in it, just based on that thumbnail. Jimmy Buckets with 34. Let's see. John Collins, he's been the talk of a lot of trade rumors. DeJounte Murray had 28 and Trae Young had 24. A lot of free throws. So there you go. Are the Hawks figuring it out? Are they getting ready to make a run? Let me know in the comments below what you think. I'd be more scared of the Heat than Atlanta right now. Also, I want to know who are you picking, Nate McMillan or Trae Young? If you had to pick coach or player, they always go player. I might go coach every once in a while, but it depends on the return for the player too. So ask the Jazz about that, and ask the Timberwolves about that. So that's going to be the last game we look at. So let's skip this order real quick and talk about the Grizzlies thumping the Suns. Let me hop on this box score real quick. We can make quick work of these boys, because that's what I thought. Yeah, what are they supposed to do? No Booker, no Paul. That answers that one. Jaren Jackson Jr. continues to play well. We told you, going into the season, we told you. My fantasy team's looking great, thank you. With Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, with Anthony Edwards. Yeah, that could be better, honestly. But with Jaren Jackson, that was worth That was worth a stash on IR, I tell you. Those of us who did it probably feeling pretty good. We're in the thick of it. We're in the hunt for the playoffs. Like the Suns somehow, but maybe not for long. We might have to answer me this. Are we going to have to start realistically considering the Suns to not be a playoff team? I was just shitting on the Warriors. They're 5 and so the Suns don't have many more away wins than the Warriors, by the way. Golden State's not alone in that, at least. So we got one more to look at. Then we're going to take a look at our standings before we do the sign-off. So the Jazz, Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, youngest player to hit 500 three-pointers. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Shout out again to the Cream. That's the name of my fantasy team, because the Cream always rises to the top. Yes, it does. Oh, yeah. I don't care about your IRAs. Let's see. Vanderbilt. Kessler. Walker Kessler. God, the Timberwolves, man. You shouldn't have made that trade, dude. Oh, Rudy Gay, 10 points or 10 minutes, no points. Sexton, 19 points off the bench. Like to see that. It's been to me, people calling him a bust recently. I'm not out on Colin Sexton yet. I'm not. Agbaji, 31 minutes, 17 points. That's another guy we've been waiting to see the growth. I think it's going to come exponentially. He's another guy a lot like Duarte with experience, even more experience to the extent that he played for a national champion and saw more meaningful minutes, I guess you could say. But another one of those guys who played deep into his career and may never be an all-pro, but will absolutely be somebody that you can count on in clutch minutes. So very excited to see him starting to get these minutes. And let's move it on back to Minnesota. What did Gobert? 5 minutes, 2 points. Did he get hurt? What happened there? I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that, but that could be a big factor right there. Austin Rivers. We'll be talking about him, actually. That's going to be a good segue because I forgot we have some clips. So we're going to go to the standings because we're here. But let's look at the standings, and we're going to come back to Austin Rivers because he had some things to say about what is wrong with the current state of basketball. So looking at this, and this is why we asked the question that we did, there are 4 teams within 5 games of Boston, but Boston's starting to pull away. So who do you think will close the gap here, if anyone? Let us know in our Twitter poll, please, or let me know with a comment. Love to hear it. And then, of course, we've got Denver and Memphis. They seem to be solidifying themselves as we drop down here. Yeah, we've got Phoenix down here with LA. The Thunder. See what I was saying about out of Wemby land? They are in play-in territory. What are they doing? You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be getting one more great draft pick to pair with Chet next season. So, speaking of Wemby land, as we see, of course, the usual suspects out west, and then of course, Detroit, Charlotte, Orlando, and this is what we were talking about previously. Indiana a few days ago was at 6th. Of course, not a ton of room between those teams, but yeah, they are quickly falling into that 9-10 out of the playoffs territory, which I think is going to be what's best for them in the long run. Better draft picks. We'll see again if this will turn them into sellers in the trade market, but there you have it. That's where we're at right now, but I need to switch it over back to our Twitter feed so we can look at the take from Austin Rivers about mixtapes, because he had some thoughts, and with this I'm going to actually have to get our audio rolling. So let me find him. Here we go. And I've got him queued up. Here we go. Austin Rivers, sir, take it away, if you please.
Forgotten now, and they're not appreciated. And it's like a trickle effect, even to like the analytics of numbers and stuff. Like certain guys don't get paid what they value in basketball, what kids think are cool. I'm gonna try to make this as sweet as possible because this really does bother me. I talk about this all the time. When I played in high school, you only got a mixtape if you were like a top tier guy. Back then, like you had to put in work. Like consistent work, build a name for yourself to get a mixtape. And it was like an honor to have a Ball is Life mixtape. It was an honor to have a hoop mixtape. We didn't play to have one, though. I didn't go into a game doing.
That's interesting. I will just say, to be the devil's advocate here, everyone and their nephew can make videos now. So part of this is probably just that it's available to more people. This is actually how it's funny story. This is how I got started in this realm. I was we'll bounce back. We'll bring Austin back here in just a second, but I was a traveling manager for the University of Toledo men's basketball team in college, where one of the duties that I got tasked with was editing game tape. And so we had to edit and label it, so you could tag it by player, by basket, you makes, misses, fouls, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, actually from there, I made some friends with players on the team, as you do. And one of my first forays into content creation was making mixtapes for guys that were headed off to play in Europe. So I know a little bit something about the mixtape highlight reel culture from about 10 years ago. So it's just interesting to see all this, but he's not wrong. But let's hear what else he had to say.
Something to be on Hoop Mixtape. I went into the game to win and just be myself. And Hoop Mixtape and them were there following me. I didn't ask Hoop Mixtape to come follow me. I didn't pay Hoop Mixtape $1.
Hey, also, your dad's Doc Rivers, though. Also, like, not to be a dick, but fair enough. You didn't pay anyone to follow you, but they were potentially also following you because your dad is Doc Rivers. But go off.
I didn't pay Ball is Life $1. They just followed me because I was that guy. They followed.
And also because your dad was that guy and is still currently an NBA coach. But
followed Brad Beal because he was that guy. They followed this guy because he was that guy. That's how it was. It is.
I'm not trying to, I guess I'm being a little dickish here. I'm not trying to discredit Austin Rivers. He was, I mean, he still is a good hooper, right? This dude's playing in the NBA. He's quality. But it just, I don't know if he's the right guy to be making this complaint. I'm just saying, like, let me have a player who didn't grow up with an NBA coach as a dad and a former player, who played with Dominique, who played with Hall of Famers. Let me hear from that guy about how it was such a meritocracy then, right? Not someone who's definitely had the benefits of nepotism in his life.
The landscape has changed now. Parents are paying these people to come to games. Everyone gets a mixtape. Everyone looks at the camera now and
complain about parents, but go ahead.
Taps on their head when they dunk on someone, and it's all highlight after highlight after highlight. And now only kids watch highlights. They don't watch the actual basketball game, the purity of the game. Making a hockey pass, which means making the right pass. Even though you're not going to get an assist, you're driving to make a play so someone else can make the play to get an assist. Diving on the floor.
See, it's for shame, America. Call that a football pass, or I guess a soccer pass.
Talking on defense, playing defense at all, shooting good shots, making the game easy, being efficient with basketball, and scoring off 1 or 2 dribbles rather than 15 dribbles.
Yeah.
This whole thing, and I only named like 12. There's 50 of them, has been forgotten about in basketball, and you're seeing it with some of these guys that come in the NBA. I can name you names, but I'm not going to. That come into the NBA and have all the talent in the world, but like they need to be taught basketball because like this is what basketball is now. Like highlight culture has absolutely, it has killed the game of basketball.
Whoa, see, and then you did it. It's killed the game of basketball. It was, first of all, no, it hasn't. The game of basketball is not dead. It's very much alive. As much as there are things about it that irritate me, all the carrying and blatant traveling that doesn't get called, the fouls, the officiating is horrible right now in the NBA, but no, it didn't ruin basketball. Basketball's not dead. You have this. Things are cyclical. They go into phases. So right now, yes, we are in a highlight culture where, yes, of course, everyone's out here trying to make a name for themselves, make money. We have people who make careers just editing highlight clips. Yeah, all that stuff is true. It makes sense. But at a certain point, then there will become a premium on this hustle play kind of stuff that he's talking about. But I would argue that there will always be room for that on an NBA roster, and therefore there will always be those kind of dudes in the NBA. So I don't agree with Austin Rivers here really at all. I think some of it is just a maturity thing, and uh, most guys will learn. They will become true basketball players, I guess, to kind of paraphrase and put some words in his mouth, I guess. But to play, do the hockey pass kind of thing, do the football pass. That's some nuance that, yeah, it takes time, takes growth, takes maturity, but it's not, I don't think it's something that can be just attributed to everyone. Like, oh, this new generation, man, all they care about is mixtapes. And like, dude, are you kidding me? Excuse me, sir. And one mixtapes? Are you kidding me? Like, Austin Rivers is my age, so like I kind of know like some of this is full of shit here, because absolutely, like, YouTube was just coming into its own back then, so it wasn't nearly as available to everyone as it is now. But what the hell do you think And One was? We'd have entire television shows. You'd have, I mean, not full arenas, but you'd have people come into arenas to watch And One, do these, the professor and these guys do these crazy moves. Like, none of that is legal bass. This has always been a part of the game. Like, shit, the Harlem Globetrotters, man, they've been around for how long? What are you talking about? There's always been this flavor to the game. What's the dunk contest, Austin Rivers? Have you heard of it? Are you aware of what the dunk contest is? And to an extent, the kind of plays that these kids can make in a game now is why the dunk contest has kind of lost some of its luster. That and the best guys not participating in it. But no, this is just kind of a dumb take to me. Like, yeah, okay, some guys absolutely have that problem. There are some guys right now. I've made the argument before. I think Russell Westbrook is one of those guys where his athleticism in some ways became his biggest enemy, because when you're that athletically gifted and you leave your feet before you've made a decision, you can get away with it time and time again, because you can contort your body in all kinds of ways midair. Well, at a certain point, body slows down, life catches up to you. You can't do that stuff, and if you don't have the fundamentals, then you're in no man's land and you plummet. Your value just drops because you don't have a solid base. You were just out there on instinct instead of being prepared, being smart. So I agree to that. I agree with that. That, like, there is some of that. There are some of that with those guys. But no, you're gonna tell me there are young cats out there like Herb Jones. Like, you can't tell me this. I refuse to believe it. There are plenty of guys out there playing defense. Look at Luke Cornett. Dude's out here contesting threes from under the basket. Like, it's not true that everyone is out there in highlight culture. Sure, there are plenty of people doing it. How else are they going to try? That's what's going to get them attention. You want, it doesn't make sense. It's a bad take to me. You want people to go back to a world that no longer exists and then still hope that for themselves that they'll get recruited somehow. It's like, oh yeah, just go be, just like the movie Hoosiers, just 5 passes before anyone can shoot. And see if Kentucky calls. Like, I don't get it, Austin. I don't get it. It sounds like bitter, sour grapes to me of a time gone. And Austin Rivers, honestly, he's too young for this. He's in the league right now. What's your deal, homie? Mark Cuban, speaking of homies who have a deal, he reached out to a muralist, artist who made this mural, tell him it was disrespectful. I'll tell you what, Mark, what's disrespectful is that roster you've assembled around Luka. Get our man some help. Worry more about the roster and less about what artists are painting. Don't be a bum, all right? This guy's in Shark Tank. You know how many rude things he said to people in Shark Tank? And our dude can't take a little mural about the fact that his team ain't too great? For shame, Mark Cuban. But that is it, guys. I am done. We are signing off here. It's a go time. Thank you so much for logging in, hanging out with us. It's the first time we've live streamed this, so I appreciate all of you. I will be sure to see you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, Facebook too, all that stuff. You want to be notified. on Twitter when we go live. You know how to do it. I appreciate all of it. It certainly helps, and I look forward to interacting with you on future episodes. But until then, be safe out there. You take care.